Wakanda Forever. Black Panther 2 had a tremendous opening weekend, bringing in about $181 million domestically and another $150 million internationally. Certainly not the best overall performance by far that Disney has had this year, not coming close to Doctor Strange's almost $430 million opening weekend global haul, but a very good one nonetheless. However, what is always concerning with Marvel titles, especially in the MCU Phase 4, is how heavily front-loaded are these films going to turn out to be? Well, Black Panther 2 may become one of the most heavily front-loaded if new information that we're getting from the Monday box office returns actually pans out through the end of this week and into the second weekend. Because as it looks right now, audiences are slamming the brakes on this movie hard. Let's get into it. Renegade Online. Well, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's great to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many folks watching this video, not yet subscribed to the channel, please do take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. YouTube loves the comments, approaching 15,000 subscribers. Thanks to all of you folks out there. So let's get into this. Let's first make a comparison between where we are now with Black Panther Wakanda Forever versus the original title from 2018. 2018's Black Panther closed out with just north of $700 million from the domestic market and about another $636 million from the international box office. Now, of note, that international box office also included about $130 million from China and Russia that is not going to be available to be made in Wakanda Forever, as those two markets are off limits. Now, obviously, we have no multiple weekend performance yet with Wakanda Forever to compare to the original Black Panther, but I do want to note how strong of a hold that Black Panther had on the domestic box office. Starting out with over $200 million in the till on opening weekend, it only dropped 45% in its second weekend, 41% from there in its third, 38% in its fourth, 35% in its fifth, so on and so forth. It really never had a drop north of 50% at all until it got about 14 weeks out from its initial debut. That is on par with something like a Top Gun Maverick. But if we go down to the daily performances, let's look and see day to day how these two films compared over their opening weekend and the first Monday. This is where things get very tenuous for Wakanda Forever. 25 million in Thursday previews for the original Black Panther, 28 million for Wakanda Forever. 75, almost 76 million on its total Friday, which included Thursday previews, versus 84 million for Wakanda Forever. So Wakanda Forever beat the original Black Panther by about $9 million there. So definitely more heavily front-loaded when we get into the subsequent days. Black Panther's first Saturday, 66 million, a mere 13% drop from its total Friday. The Sunday for Black Panther, the first Sunday, February 18th, $60 million, a mere 9% drop. And then a 33% drop from there to its first Monday of $40 million. Now, to be fair, that first Monday, of course, was Martin Luther King Day. That was a federal holiday. Kids were off of school, but most parents are still at work on that day. That is still a very strong hold from there, which is also why the first Tuesday fell 48%. Usually Tuesdays are better days for theatrical returns than Mondays just because they are discount days. So don't be at all surprised if we actually see maybe a $3 to $4 million bump for Wakanda Forever when we see the Tuesday returns sometime Wednesday afternoon. But looking over at Wakanda Forever, November 11th to November 12th, a 33% drop compared to a 13% drop from its predecessor. From that Saturday to Sunday, November 12th to November 13th, a 27% drop compared to a 9% drop from February 17th, 18th of 2018. And Monday, November 14th, the very first Monday, a massive 73% fall off from the Sunday box office. A Sunday box office, which I might add, was almost $20 million behind its 2018 predecessor. And something else to remember is that 2018 predecessor had ticket prices that were far cheaper than what Wakanda Forever is enjoying. Matter of fact, a premium large format screening of Black Panther in 2018 probably averaged somewhere around $12 to $13, depending on exactly where you lived. Premium large format screenings for Wakanda Forever are clocking in most places north of $17 per ticket. And just this year, we have seen an almost 50 cents per ticket average price increase from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to Wakanda Forever just 5 to 6 months later. So we have to take those kind of things into account, because while we saw 13.7 million people show up for Doctor Strange earlier this year, 12.7 million people showed up for Wakanda Forever in its same opening weekend. Let's look at the Marvel movies from this year. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, a $187+ million domestic opening weekend. Thor: Love and Thunder, a $144+ million domestic opening weekend. And Black Panther: Wakanda Forever with a $181 million domestic opening weekend. All of these are very good in and of themselves, but of course, we have to take into account the things like the production budgets. With Doctor Strange, $200 million, with Thor, $250 million, and with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, also $250 million. The other thing we want to look at is how well the movie did domestically compared to its opening weekend. With Doctor Strange, it ran out at a 2.19x from its open. Thor: Love and Thunder ran out to a 2.38x from its open. And of course, Wakanda Forever, yet to be determined. But we do have some idea of where it's headed now. So let's look at the first 4 to 5 days of each of these. Again, from left to right, Doctor Strange, Thor 4, Wakanda Forever. May 5th, 2022, a $36 million preview, a $90 million total Friday open, which included those previews. $57.8 million on Saturday, representing a 36% drop. $38.8 million, almost $39 million on Sunday, representing a 33% drop. And then at the time, I said a 65% drop is massive. That is a huge fall off from the first Sunday to the first Monday. That came in at $13.6 million. Thor 4, $29 million, with a total of $69 million for Friday, $69.5 million. A $42 million Saturday with a 39% roll-off, very similar to Doctor Strange. A 23% drop, a better hold on Sunday than Doctor Strange, with $32.5 million total. And a 63% drop, another precipitous drop for that first Monday, $12.1 million. Now let's look at Wakanda Forever. $28 million, pretty much on par with Thor: Love and Thunder for Thursday previews, but an $84.2 million total Friday, actually beating out by $9 million the original Black Panther on its open. However, the next 2 days were very different, if you recall from the previous charts. $56 million versus $66 million, and $40 million versus $60 million. That was a 33% drop from Friday to Saturday, 27% drop from Saturday to Sunday, but a massive 73% drop to Monday. That is about the worst I've ever seen from a Marvel film that I can recall, at least in the post-pandemic era. This is something that foretells that the legs for a film like this are just not going to be that good. Again, when we saw such a sharp 63 to 65% roll-off from Thor and Doctor Strange, what it wound up yielding was legs that were between 2.2 and 2.4. The drop-off for Black Panther is worse than either of those two movies. Now, certainly, some folks could show up and surprise us in the second weekend, but I think the most obvious expectation at this point for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is a second weekend drop that is on par with other Marvel films, and that's going to be somewhere to the tune of 60 to 65%. If it performs better than that, then we can readjust our numbers up for the final tally, but if it performs even worse, they're going to keep going down. And at this point, my $800 million global initial projection for this film might have to be backed down a little bit. it might start airing closer to the side of 750. I think this film still has a good shot at hitting 400 million in the domestic market, but I don't see the international market getting much beyond 350 million, and that's even if it gets there. It's really starting to look like that almost everybody that had any intention of seeing Black Panther Wakanda Forever showed up this weekend to see it, and that's going to be about it. I think if anything, there is a possibility that we'll see a better than normal weekend 3, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after Thanksgiving, because people might be looking for something to do. They'll be together with their families, and I think that weekend could perform above average. But the second weekend is really going to be a telltale sign. We'll know more about 6 to 7 days from now how this movie is really going to wind up. But generally speaking with these Marvel films, as you've noticed, looking at Doctor Strange 2, looking at Thor Love and Thunder, by the time these movies reach their 5th day, that is to say, by the time the first Tuesday closes, you can pretty much double that figure, and that's where the domestic run and the international run are going to end. And as we've been discussing, this movie really needs to hit that $800 million mark for this movie to break even between Disney's production and marketing costs. And that's a hurdle that day by day is starting to look more and more out of range. We'll see where this goes. Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social media, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. And until next time, take care.